All right, so I went and saw Black Adam this weekend. I'm pretty sure a lot of other people did as well. And I don't really know anything about the DC comics of this character. I just know that I really enjoy Dwayne Johnson. He can kind of take a really stupid movie and just make it fun. Pretty much in a lot of the films that he's been in, which, that's not a disrespect toward him. Because again, I really like The Rock, even if some of the movies that he's in are just downright terrible. Anyhow, I thought Black Adam was just another one of those movies where I wasn't really going in with a lot of expectation because, again, I don't know anything about Black Adam or the character, the comic, nothing of the sort. And this movie is about just a little over 2 hours, but if I'm being completely honest, it felt like 3 for me. This movie felt like it never ended. It felt like it was going on and on and on. I was actually just very bored, which is weird because the movie is nonstop full of action. There's always something to look at. The one thing I can give the movie somewhat credit for is that there's always something happening. However, even though there's always something going on, I still felt like the movie was just dull. I thought it was dragging. I didn't really get much out of this movie. I continuously felt like we were just getting thrown so many things just at once that the story became very muddled. It was very convoluted. I had no idea what was really what was I supposed to focus on, which part of the story was more important. There's a moment toward the end that involves the devil, which it's not that I don't understand this movie. It's the fact that the movie just kind of keeps coming from different directions with something else to throw at you that you're like, wait, what are we on now? At least that was kind of my view of it. So I wasn't really that impressed. I thought, again, special effects wise, there are some nice things to look at, but the movie just kind of felt like a really large plate. It's like when you go to a buffet and you just put so much on it that you're like, wait, where do I begin? What am I looking at? It's kind of like that. It's like you don't know where to start, and then you have so much handed to you that you just don't know what to do with it. That is kind of how I felt with Black Adam. I also didn't really feel like there was anything that fun about it. There was maybe 1 or 2 lines that I laughed at that I thought were humorous, but with the exception of those, this was just a bland kind of movie, in my opinion. I always like to say no disrespect to the people that, work really hard to put it together, but it just felt kind of all over the place and at the same time just not really together. Again, I love The Rock, and I thought that the supporting cast, for the most part, did okay. There was a bunch of characters that I thought were just kind of there as a filling position. It didn't feel like they really had much use being in the film, but I don't know. What are you going to do? So this was a movie that was just over 2 hours, like I said, but felt like 3. It's just a film I don't think is memorable or one that is great. I know that DC has a tendency to put out movies that are not always the best, or at least they're not always everyone's favorite. And I can see why. I think they just continuously are throwing movies out with not a lot of, I don't know, there's not a, which is kind of funny. I was going to say there's not a jolt, but this movie in particular has plenty of those. But just in that spark, you want a reaction. For me, I got nothing from this, and for that, I can't really recommend it. So if you're into the superhero movies, maybe you'll get something out of it. I don't know, maybe you have a different opinion, but my 2 cents on this, if you haven't already gathered, is that I'm not really recommending that you go and see it. Maybe at home if bored. Otherwise, you're in no rush. You can kind of miss this one, personally speaking.